Good morning, Big Weir, roadtoruta.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of coffee. I do something a little different today, although I will have an update on the fires. My uncle lost his house. I think they had it for like 50 or 60 years in Santa Rosa. It is crazy out of control still. The odds on it being arson, I think, are very high. There were 17 spots where the fire started between 12 midnight and 2 a.m. And like some of these fires were 50 miles apart with, towns and forests and all of these things in between and nothing burned. And all of a sudden this huge fire starts here, 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 here. I heard 17 spots. I hope it's not some terrorist attack. I hope it's not some false flag. I hope it is. I mean, it sounds weird to hope that stuff, but it's so mind-boggling to me. I know that area well. A lot of my family, my brother had to evacuate. Again, my uncle lost his house, and I was just up there a few weeks ago at Silverado. I heard it's gone now. Very strange. Some parts were just completely demolished, as in nothing left. And I would question that as well. Cars flipped upside down burning. I'm like, how does that happen in a wildfire? There's something going on. I'm the first to jump up and down and say conspiracy, conspiracy. But I was in the Oakland fire. I was in the Oakland wildfire literally, and I live there now in that same area. And I see what happens when these firestorms are brutal. Yes, they do burn everything to rubble, the winds and the heat and all that. But the chimneys are still left standing and the appliances are still there. And there's these neighborhoods where nothing is there. It's like something really bizarre had happened. There's no chimneys. And if you look at all the pictures from the Oakland wildfire, you basically have foundations, the brick, the chimneys are all standing. And but these certain neighborhoods, especially in Santa Rosa, some of those neighborhoods, and maybe it's illegal to have chimneys in Santa Rosa. I don't know, but everything was melted to the core. And I don't know how cars flip over in a wildfire. And so, yes, there are questions to be answered. We got to get these fires out first and foremost. And hopefully tomorrow supposedly is another windy day with an offshore wind. So I'm going to talk a little more about that later. But it's too late. I already started talking about it. What I want to talk about today is an email I got. I get a lot of emails, a lot of different emails from a lot of different people. And I usually don't even have close to the amount of time to answer them. But I did answer one this morning just because I felt like it. One of those things. When I feel like answering some people, I will. I do have a consulting service. You can call, set up a 1-hour call, send me a list of all the questions you have about gold and silver and Bitcoin and whatever, and we can have a chat it's called a roadside chat. Go to the Road to Ruta website. We can have a chat for an hour about it. But got this email this morning that I thought I'd share my response with you guys as a little change of pace from the morning Horn of Z's, the sip of coffee. And here's the email. It's from a subscriber who clearly is not on board as far as my take on the cryptos, but I'll read you my response as well. Here was his email. Bix, the problem with the cryptos is that they require a power source for a transaction to take place. The next problem for me is that they record the transaction in the blockchain. My paper money does not require a power source, nor does it record the transaction, so it is private. But the money is rigged by the governments and the central bankers. Gold and silver is honest money, does not require a power source to transact, is private. But owing to its price discovery mechanism being controlled by the paper futures market in the LBMA and the COMEX, a total unwillingness of governments to change, this money is rigged. Yes, absolutely. Cryptos actually take the banksters one step closer to the mark of the beast-based system. I've heard this a lot, actually. If you want your children to one day look back and say, my dad advocated cryptos, then be my guest, fella, but I'm out, Mike. So I have, I think it's the little jab at the bottom. If you want your your children to look back and say, my dad advocated cryptos? I absolutely do. And I know he didn't mean it as a compliment, but I took it absolutely as a compliment. So this is what my response was, and I basically rewrote the email, and I put it into put my answers in red here. So let's go through it. The problem with cryptos is that they require a power source for a transaction to take place. My response: yes, but if there were no power, we would all die off pretty fast, so we could not even feed ourselves, much less living in today's modern society. Absolutely. If we don't have any power, we don't have any food, we don't have any gasoline, we don't have any ways to communicate with each other. We've got millions and millions of people living in urban areas that would literally be at their throats, each other's throats, in the first couple days for food, for water, for anything. There'd be no information, there'd be nothing. That would be the Mad Max world that most people would die off very soon. There's been studies on it, and they say within 2 weeks, the majority of the population would die off. So yes, if there is no power, there's no Bitcoin. If there is no power, gold and silver have zero value in that kind of Mad Max world. Zero. You're going to want guns, you're going to want food, and good luck walking around from town to town teaching people about the importance of monetary gold and silver when everything has fallen apart. The next is the next problem for me is that they record the transaction on the blockchain. And my response: why would you not want a public record of a transaction? Would you prefer the current trillions of dollars hidden transactions that go on every day, only seen by the bad guys? Right now, all transactions are seen by the Federal Reserve. Yes, you can have off electronic system paper money transactions if you want to believe in paper money. You can have gold and silver transactions if you can find, usually it's just a gold and silver shop that would buy and sell. But in the world that you're speaking of, I want everything to be recorded. I don't want my name on it. I don't want anybody to be able to track me down, just like the cryptos. But I do want a record of what has happened in case I need to follow up on something. And with a public record, they can't lie, cheat, and steal. Right now, we don't know how many trillions the Federal Reserve is printing. We don't know how many trillions the U.S. government has been printing on the side, completely off the books. Completely. The monetary system is a trust-based system. And if you trust your government such that they don't debit their account with trillions or hundreds of trillions or quadrillions of dollars just to spend it and buy the arms and anything they want, there is no control at that level. The U.S. government can pay off its debt with a click of a mouse. I don't know why people stress about all this. The money is the fraud. The control of the money is at the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury. What's to stop them from saying, "Oh my God, we need we have 20 trillion in debt, but we need to fund these 50 trillion in black ops." Hey, I'll just debit the account 50 trillion. You go out and spend it. There's nothing that stops the government from doing that, and I know they do it. So the facade that you're all living in, everybody's living in, is that the monetary system has checks and balances. Absolutely does not at the top. So yes, I would want every transaction. When the trust is gone, we lose all our unbacked fiat money, the system collapses because JP Morgan's derivatives went sideways, or whatever it might be, trust will be absolutely paramount. And you can't trust anybody else, so you would want to have everybody trust everything on the blockchain, approved by the entire ecosystem, and visible to everyone, because there'll be nothing that will be trusted that is in hiding. Whew, that's my take. Back to the second paragraph here. My paper money does not require a power source, nor does it record transactions, so it's private. But the money is rigged in by the governments and bankers. And it will, my response, and it will stay rigged unless we come up with an alternative monetary system like the cryptos are doing as we speak. Absolutely, we have to fix the problem ourselves. We can't expect government to fix the problem. Gold and silver bugs, you have had hundreds of years to fix this problem, and it has not worked. everybody says, oh, gold and silver is the best form of money. Gold and silver was the best form of money, but the best form of money had failed the most times in history as well. Yes, everybody turns back to gold and silver standard, but it always fails, usually for manipulation reasons, because it's so easy to manipulate. The crypto's not that easy to manipulate. It's possible, but it's on the blockchain system. No, it's not possible, and that is proven. And everybody says, "Oh, they're going to hack the blockchain." Well, you're going to have to hack the. It's not a hack necessarily. It's a finding weaknesses in the blockchain format and protocol that everybody approves every transaction type of thing. And that's the difficulty of hacking. So yes, it is a better form of money. I hate to tell you, gold bugs, but it has evolved into a better form of money now. You can go back in monetary history. Everybody who's ever been a gold bug knows this. And the saying used to be, gold is not the best form of money, but it's better than anything else we have. Barter is probably the truest form of transactional, peer-to-peer type transactions. And that was true before Bitcoin was invented and the blockchain technologies were invented and the crypto tokens and the cryptocurrencies were invented. And now that has changed. The world changed in 2009. And it wasn't until a few years later it got stronger, and Bitcoin and the blockchain are anti-fragile. So every time it breaks down or a flaw is found, it gets fixed and gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And it has hit that point now where it's strong enough to be used as a form of money to take the place of the old corrupt system. And I don't know why gold and silver bugs aren't jumping up and down and saying, thank God, finally, something was strong enough as a money to take down the banking cabal. So, all right, where are we? All right, third paragraph, gold and silver is honest money. That whole honest money thing is a catchphrase. It was invented by the gold bugs to say, at the time, it was more honest than anything else. But it's a catchphrase, and it doesn't last forever. It may be honest money. If you have pure gold, there's different types of gold as well. There's fraud within gold. Obviously, you can't call gold and silver honest money when it's traded on the COMEX or the LBMA. But it's an interesting catchphrase. I don't see any evidence of gold being used as money today. And it's not, truthfully. It is not being used as money. The cryptos are being used more as money than gold and silver. Gold is being used as a store of value by the old-time gold bugs, who that's all they see. They refuse to open their eyes to what is happening in the world. But hey, we'll see. But gold and silver is honest money. That phrase, that catchphrase, does not apply always. It does not apply when gold and silver is not being used as money like today. And it does not apply if something better came along. And that's exactly what happened. And then the sentence goes on, it does not require a power source to transact. Again, no power, we're all dead. So it's the silliest argument. It's the EMP argument. No power, we're dead. If the power comes back on and the internet comes back on, we're alive again, and nothing has changed in your blockchain position, and it will go on as normal. And don't forget, if internet goes down, there's no banking, there's no communication, it is completely, we live in a just-in-time delivery system, meaning that your food, your water, your power, your gas, your electricity, everything is delivered just in time, and all of it, just about all of it, is run off the internet. And without internet access, it all freezes up. So again, back to a Mad Max world, where your gold and silver will be absolutely useless, completely useless. Silver especially, because there'll be no industrial use for it. And gold, who's going to teach humanity that gold is the thing you're supposed to turn to as money? They don't know it now, and I don't think they ever will believe in it again. Anyway, let's see. And it's private. Yes, it can be private, just like the cryptos can be private. Yes, it is. The transactions are published on the blockchain, but they're published in your coded public address. So nobody knows whose address that is. And there are ways to secure your address. Will the government one day find out, spend all their time, resources, energy trying to find out who each Bitcoin transaction is? Who is the actual person who pressed that button and who owns that wallet? No, I don't think so. I think the government is going to embrace the cryptos and put up legal boundaries as to, if we are going to move into a high-tech world and use the cryptos as a form of currency to transact business with each other because the old system is so bad, the government is going to absolutely put up rules and regulations to protect the cryptos, not to destroy them, but to protect them. Because if they don't, we're going to come after the government. Don't forget, we're the little ants out there. There's 7 billion of us, and there's maybe 100,000 government employees in charge. And yeah, if the little ants get pissed off, like we will when we have another banking crash, no, those government banksters and all that are being removed as we speak, which is great. Okay, and it goes on. Owning to its price discovery mechanism being controlled by the paper futures market, LBMA, and the COMEX, and a total unwillingness of governments to change this, money is rigged. True, and that's why it's been gold and silver have been unable to unseat the bad guys, because gold and silver are easily rigged on the COMEX and the LBMA. It is much, much harder to rig the cryptos because of the blockchain technology. Everybody needs to get that into their head. Blockchain technology is a truth machine. So they can't lie, they can't cheat, they can't steal. It's in the open, and it's an amazing invention, and we should embrace it, not poo-poo it, especially all you gold and silver bugs. And then that next paragraph, cryptos actually take the banksters one step closer to the mark of the beast money-based system. No, absolutely not. That Zhang seems to think so, but she doesn't understand what the blockchain is. She doesn't understand what cryptocurrencies represent. If you really study the blockchain, study the technology and the protocol used in the blockchain, you'll see that it is a truth machine. Everybody approves every transaction. It has to be an honest transaction. It has to be real. It can't be fraud. And here's my response. Not at all. And that's the basic misunderstanding of those that refuse to study the blockchain, which is this guy, obviously. Everybody should study what is the blockchain, what is its significance. Just because a bankster invents a blockchain that they control does not mean anyone would use it. The core fundamental of blockchain technology is that it has a distributed control mechanism and is not controlled by any specific entity. It is controlled by the user community. Anything that tries to change or modify this will not be supported and thus cast off. Thus, it is no longer a blockchain. You can't just name something a blockchain, including the banksters' attempt to control it all. A blockchain that is controlled by a central node or a couple central nodes is not a blockchain. The bankers already have that. It's called our electronic monetary system. They control it all. Anything that is controlled by a central group of people or a central individual will be cast off. Who would trust it? Remember, that's what blockchain represents, is trust in the community, not in individuals, not in anybody saying, okay, I'm going to help you people, I'm going to give you this, and I'm a bankster, I'm a government employee, I'm a Rockefeller, and I'm going to control all this. Everybody will say no once the trust is lost. And that's the key. It's going to take the crashing of the banks for all trust to be lost in any government employee, in any bank, in any ruler with they've screwed it up. They've absolutely, there's going to be no IMF saying, oh, we have SDRs. That's ridiculous. The trust will be gone. When the banks go down, the IMF is gone. The World Bank is gone. All these criminal institutions will be gone. So to say, oh, no, they're going to take control of the blockchain, and ridiculous. Almost, it's ridiculous in such that these people saying this need to study what the blockchain is. It's a decentralized trust machine. You can trust that 2 + 2 = 4. You're trusting in math. And if you don't get that, you need to study the blockchain. Study the protocols. Read Satoshi's white paper. There's a lot of, obviously very technical stuff, but there's also some fundamental truths about the blockchain. It's a decentralized protocol, meaning that any blockchain, any ledger that is called a blockchain that is not decentralized is not a true blockchain, and nobody would trust it. Why would you trust JP Morgan's blockchain? First of all, JP Morgan will lose all trust, but it has to be an open protocol. You got to know what everything's going on in there and see that not just one entity or a government entity or a banking entity controls it. And that's the other thing about the blockchain. It's open source. So you can see the software. You can see all the transactions that happen. That's why it is so important. That's why it is so revolutionary, is because they can't hide anymore. And if they can't hide, they're not going to take it over. All right. And let's get to the final one. This is the children one. If you want your children one day to look back and say, my dad advocated cryptos, then be my guest, fella, but I'm out. Here's my response. Your children will be just as sad if I am correct, as they will be one of the last people on planet Earth to break away from the banksters because their father couldn't grasp what was happening. I'd advise that you spend some time studying what is happening, gaining a full understanding of the crypto revolution, and if you see what I see, alter your perspective. All the best, Bix. Absolutely. His kids are going to be pissed at their dad. You knew it. You saw it happening, and you didn't do a thing about it. As a matter of fact, you advocated people not do it. You were yelling from the top of your head that this cryptocurrency thing is a con and it's going to destroy the wealth. It's a bubble and all that. And you advocated the people that listened to you. You advocated that they not get involved. And where are they now? And I'm talking 4 or 5 years down the line. Where are they? Where's that gold and silver standard that you promised us? No. Everybody's using Bitcoin and Litecoin and tokens to run their business now. And the world is flourishing, and the banks are long gone that you used to trust in, and those government officials that lied to us for so long are long gone, and now we have a system that you don't have to trust anything or anybody. All you got to do is trust that 2 + 2 = 4. Trust in math, and then you understand cryptos. All right, that's your morning Horn of Z's. I'm going to talk a little later about the fires and what I think we should be doing, and hopefully there are no big increases in different areas. Keep an eye out for that, because it might be some type of terrorist type of thing. Terrorist or arson, individual or a community or a false flag or all kinds of things it could be. But it is something odd is going on, and I want to stay on top of it. This is Big Weir with a little different morning Horn of Z's for your morning this morning. You guys take care. I'll talk to you later.